The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
Hello, this is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page. Welcome to my TV show. Today's special guest is Cathie Humbarger. Hello, Cathie.
So glad to be with you, Patty. Thanks for inviting me.
You are the founder and director of public affairs at Reprotection, Inc.
Yes.
And you are with Right to Life, Northeast Indiana.
That's true.
And your final role is with Safe Haven Baby Boxes. Oh,
yes.
Is that all you do?
Well, I'm also the grandmother of 13 and great-grandmother of one and another one to make her appearance in January. So lots of things going on in the family as well.
Get any time for yourself? No.
Well, investing in this cause, Patty, that I know you share my passion for, and also my family, is the thing that I enjoy most, in addition to thrift shopping. That's kind of my therapy.
I have questions for you.
Great. I have answers. Let's see if they match.
So you have 3 roles. So
Yes.
What do you do with you're founder and director of Reprotection?
Actually, I'm the founder and director of public affairs for Reprotection.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
My error. What is Reprotection?
Reprotection is an organization that is nationwide in focus. And our mission is to hold the abortion industry and abortionists accountable to the regulations, laws, and rules that have already been put in place to regulate the abortion industry. So what we're finding, Patty, is that we work hard to get pro-life legislators elected, as we should, and then we help them draft and pass pro-life legislation, which we should, but that's not the end of it. What we're finding is that those who are responsible for enforcing those laws and regulations are not, for the most part, being attentive to their responsibilities in enforcing those laws. So we started here in Indiana as a result of closing down the notorious abortionist Ulrich Klopfer. And we were delighted to be able to be used by the Lord to close down his 3 facilities. Then that caught the attention of David B. Wright, who's the founder of 40 Days for Life, and also other national leaders. And they encouraged me to take this to other states. And we're finding the same things that happened here in Indiana as far as enforcement and the lack thereof is happening in other states as well. So I was encouraged to start this organization, and we started in January of 2020. And the Lord has sustained us through COVID and all the other challenges that most not-for-profits have had. And I was originally the CEO, however, wearing several hats and having a growing group of grandchildren and great-grandchildren, I don't have enough time to give my full attention to operating the organization. So my colleague, Missy Stone, is now the CEO, and I accepted the role of Director of Public Affairs, which means that I work with legislators to improve the laws that they already have on the books or to write those that are enforceable, and then to follow up to make certain that those laws are enforced. The legislators get very annoyed when they spend their time to pass this legislation only to find out that the laws that they passed are not being enforced.
That is frustrating.
Yes, it is.
Very much. So, is it just the Republicans you deal with, or Democrats, or both, or?
Well, I think everyone, regardless of their position on abortion, can agree that we want women to be safe. Those of us who are pro-life, of course, don't want women being injured. We don't want them to make an abortion decision in the first place. But if they do, we don't want them to be injured by shoddy practicing abortionists, which is what we're finding. So I think everyone, regardless of party affiliation, can agree on enforcing these common sense laws to hold the abortionists accountable to the same medical standards that others are. Now, that's not to imply that we are okay with abortions being done as long as the facility is clean and they're crossing the T's and dotting the I's. That's not it. Right. But in the process of holding them accountable, they can incur additional expenses. And our ultimate goal is to close them down. Father Frank Pavone has said that it's impossible to practice vice virtuously. So what is better fits the definition of vice than abortion? And looking behind the closed doors of the abortionists through public information requests and observations of people who are faithfully in front of those abortion facilities, we are finding violations and egregious practices. And ultimately, we file complaints, and the goal is, I don't know if this is appropriate to say, but it's kind of like death by 1,000 paper cuts. So if we find multiple violations, we build a file, and ultimately we want to close them down.
Especially Roe versus Wade.
Yes, that decision, as you well know, was decided in 1973, and the court case that the Supreme Court will consider this term could very well overturn Roe versus Wade. But then the abortion fight just goes back to each individual state. I don't mean just, it'll be a huge win, but that would be the outcome. Those arguments are going to be heard on December 1st of this year. And we anticipate a decision being announced probably in June of 2022.
So December, you have to wait till June?
Yeah, that's typical for, unless there's some kind of expedited procedure, that's the typical way that the Supreme Court announces decisions. They hear the arguments and then they deliberate, and then most of their decisions are handed or made public in June, or depending on when it's argued, it could be announced in their midterm break. But this one will not be.
This abortionist Clocker, when
Yes.
he, how many years was he aborting children?
Well, as best we can tell, at least 40 years.
Oh.
He began his abortion practices in Illinois, in Chicago, and then expanded into Indiana. It's impossible to tell exactly how many he did, but our best calculations indicate that he did approximately 30,000 abortions here in Indiana, and then add to that the abortions that he did other places before he focused on Indiana. And the number probably is around 50,000.
Oh. That's 50,000 too much.
Well, yes, one is too much, but
One.
think about it.
I'll
50,000
make that
innocent little boys and girls being sucked out of their mother's womb or ripped apart limb from limb, and for the most part, until recently, thrown away with medical waste.
Nowadays, they experiment with the babies, body parts.
Yes, some of that has been exposed, and that's probably the tip of the iceberg.
And the woman, they're the one that suffers the most, besides the babies.
Of course.
Killed.
Mhm.
They must have a lot of women in this country who's not healed.
Right.
Healed. They need help. How do we reach out to them? This pre-protection help out the women themselves?
That's not the focus of our mission. However, we partner with others who have a ministry to women who have an abortion decision in their past.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, in the most unusual circumstances, Patty, I will be in a conversation with a woman, and she may tell me about her abortion decision, and it may have been 20 or 30 years ago. So then I'm able to connect her to our friends in the post-abortion ministry.
Thank you for that.
You are certainly welcome.
And you are still with Right to Life, Northeast Indiana,
Yes.
doing.
Well, I have the same title for all three organizations, the Director of Public Affairs. And the job description, if you will, is pretty much the same from organization to organization, and that is to work with legislators
Yes.
in order to move pro-life legislation that's enforceable in the states. My role with Right to Life of Northeast Indiana, of course, is focused on Indiana. Reprotection has a broader reach, and Safe Haven Baby Boxes has a broader reach too, in that we are attempting to get legislation passed in every state in the country that will allow for the safe and anonymous relinquishment of a baby in a Safe Haven baby box.
How many baby boxes so far? Do you know?
Approaching 90 across the country.
How
So
many
yes,
states? 5, 6, 7 states or more?
probably they're opening up so quickly that it's hard for me to keep track. But yes, I would say 5 or 6 states and expanding.
How long did it take to put Reprotection Inc. together?
Well, it depends on how far you go back. Reprotection was not even on my radar when we began holding Abortionist Klopfer accountable. My office was very close to his abortion facility on Inwood Drive, and I would look out my window on Thursday mornings, which was procedure day, and I would see the women go in to his abortion business, and then 2 or 3 hours later, they would come out and typically had an arm around the person that brought them and the other arm around an abortion provider staff person, and they would stumble down the steps and to the car, and typically they'd open the back door and the woman would pretty much collapse in the back seat of the car. So when I saw that, I thought, my church has to have a wheelchair ramp, and it seems like every place you go has to have a wheelchair ramp. As I did further investigation, I found out that even the sex clubs have to have wheelchair ramps to accommodate their clients. So why does the abortionist get a pass? So that was my first thought of what's going on behind the closed doors of the abortion facility that's in violation of regulations, not just on abortion businesses, but ADA regulations, fire code regulations, and that kind of thing. So I pursued it. That was way back under the Obama administration. I found that the governing agency was the Department of Health and Human Services, which at the time was headed by Kathleen Sebelius. And she was a former governor and very closely aligned with the notorious late-term abortionist George Tiller. So it was, I really didn't expect them to take action, and they didn't. They finally sent a letter saying that the letter should not be interpreted as a determination on the complaint, but they didn't have time to investigate. So that was the first round of seeing that those responsible for enforcement were not really interested, and it went from there. So that began, oh my goodness, I think back in 2010. My intent, Patty, at the time was to close down Abortionist Klopfer next door to me. I did not have a long-term strategy of going outside of Fort Wayne even, or certainly not in other states. But I quickly found out that our counterparts in Lake County and St. Joe County, where Abortionist Klopfer had facilities in Geary and South Bend, they were wanting to investigate as well. So we banded together, and over a long period of time, we were able to file over 2,000 complaints against Abortionist Klopfer. We learned that he was doing abortions on girls under the age of 14, so 13 and younger, and not reporting it to the proper authorities for investigation. And then his facility license was revoked and not renewed because all three of his facilities were in egregious condition. So we were ultimately able to close down not only his 3 abortion facilities, but also have his license, his medical license, suspended. Those were huge wins. And then we, about that time is when we were encouraged to take this across the country. So long-winded answer to your question, but it probably took, I'm going to say 8 years or so to finally close down all 3 facilities and to get his medical license suspended.
I am so surprised about the government allowing abortion, period.
Well, that's the culture in which we live, and until the laws and are changed and the litigation is finalized in the courts, we have to do everything that we can with the tools we have in our toolbox right now to save every baby we can as quickly as we can, and any legal way we can.
So how many reprotection branches or offices do you have in the nation, or is this just only in Indiana right now? Or
no, we are growing, and we have more leads and more requests for help than we have time for. We started here in Indiana, and then our friends in Kentucky were interested in the same project. Indiana and Kentucky are under the same Planned Parenthood organization. It's called Planned Parenthood Indiana, Kentucky. So there are a lot of commonalities. So we began working with Kentucky, and Missy Stone joined our staff. And it's amazing, as the word gets out, the people on the sidewalk in front of abortion facilities across the country see things that they know is not right, but they've not known what to do with that information. So now they know in increasing numbers to contact us so that we can look into the situation, determine what action to take, and then assess the people on the ground in writing complaints, and also help them then to put leverage on those who may be dragging their feet to bring the complaint to a satisfactory conclusion.
because we have one in Fort Wayne Planned Parenthood facility.
Yes, we do have a Planned Parenthood here. They're not currently doing abortions. However, they have said publicly that that is their intention.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask, what is your website, contact number, everything, so people can get through to you and your
It's reprotection.org. That's our website. Very easy to find. reprotection.org. There's information there. We also have a Facebook page, and the contact phone number and all of that is on the website and Facebook page. And by the way, for those who might be curious as to how we came up with the name Reprotection, those who are much more savvy in marketing than me have told me that the current trend is to take two words and smush them together and make a new one. So we took reproduction and protection and smushed them together to be Reprotection.
I was going to ask you what type of title that was and why it was done that way. I think you're doing an excellent job.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm praying for you that it goes all over the nation and other countries can pick it up too.
Well, a very simple prayer request that I have for anyone who might be inclined to pray for us is that the Lord would reveal to us the information we need to know in order to hold these horrible abortion facilities accountable.
Yeah, the strange law we have, thou shalt not commit murder. Put people in jail who kill other people, adults, you know. As soon as a baby's being killed, people look the other way.
As long as it's not born. And then even there are some who take the radical position of even after the baby is born, if the mother if the mother is informed that there's a physical defect or something of that nature, she can decide to withhold treatment and allow the baby to die. Mothers are typically victims as well. They're desperate, and I understand completely that it's very difficult for us to bend our minds around why they make the decisions they do. Typically, having talked with many women who've had an abortion decision in their past, what I learned is that the abortionist sells them the lie that for a price, the abortionist can erase the life of a baby and give the mother a do-over. Only after the abortion is over does the mother realize that it's not a do-over. Now she's the mother of a dead baby.
So the one that we have here, the Planned Parenthood, how are we going to be able to close this one? We're still working on it, I know.
Right. We closed them down at their previous location. And then we were able to keep them out for a while, and they came in under an assumed name and purchased a property. So they're open for the other services that Planned Parenthood provides, birth control and that kind of thing, and pregnancy testing and so on. They offer those services, I guess. I say that kind of sarcastically, but they do not do abortions here in Fort Wayne at this time.
You never know.
Oh, well, I think they want to.
What would you like to share with my audience? All that we spoke about, and what would you like to say to the women who are pregnant?
I would encourage them to not make a hasty decision. It is legal, abortions are legal in the United States, but I would encourage them to go to a local pregnancy resource center or any other kind of assistance organization. There are many churches that reach out to women too, to see what help there is available. The pregnancy resource centers don't just help the woman get through the pregnancy. They're with her afterwards to help her with any kind of need she has. So a decision in the midst of a crisis oftentimes leads to regret. And that's exactly what happens here. So at least understand what you're choosing. Often we hear the term, a woman's right to choose. we need to follow up with choose what and help the woman considering an abortion, what it is exactly that she's choosing. And she can get a free ultrasound at a pregnancy resource center to make certain that she has a viable pregnancy in the first place, because some abortionists unscrupulously do abortions on women who think they're pregnant, but they may not be, or the baby may have already experienced demise or whatever. So the people that are going to give you the truth are the people in the pregnancy resource centers, the Right to Life organizations, and other like-minded services that are out there.
Amen, sister. Thank you for being on my show. You're very, very welcome to be on my show again if you wish.
Oh, I always welcome the opportunity, Patty. I know I've been a little busy lately, but my life is beginning to settle down a bit, so maybe I can be a more frequent guest.
Yes, you may. I like to do David Barrett and you together someday.
Well, that would be interesting. Yes, that would be. He's, by the way, David B. Wright serves as the chairman of the board of directors for Reprotection. So he has put his good name and reputation behind this organization, and we really appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Cathie Humbarger, for being on my show. You're as sweet as usual.
Oh, God bless you for saying that. And God bless you, Patty, for continuing to host programs like this.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed, my love. God is with us always for the rest of our